Hey, it's me, Marky Joe, here to entertain you. Yes, it is my show. It exists. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it.
Yeah. Alright, it's been ages since I last did a commentary on this, because I've pretty much run ass shit to say about this game. So, for this video, I'm going to be trying something different, and we're going to see how it goes, what people think in the comments and whatnot. I'm going to briefly summarize this chapter, and then after that, I'm going to talk about my opinions on level design and how to make a good level in Fire Emblem. I know a lot of people have looked forward to hearing about that shit, and I want to, wait to make it, an explicit video with, footage of various games so that I could show examples. But I have to have something to talk about with this game, or else we're just never gonna fucking finish it. So, let's just get this shit over with, alright? Click. Alright, so, Chapter 17, Setting Sun of Gra. So, last chapter, Marth retook his home kingdom, Aricia, and now it's finally time for him to take the fight to good old Hardin in the capital of Pales. However, to get to Pales, they first have to go through the Kingdom of Gra, which is currently still allied with Akania. You know, the Pales is the capital of Akania. Or some shit like that. Something. Oh god, I can hear the comments already being like, you got it wrong! Anyway, so, long ago, Gra used to be part of Aricia, until Book 1 of this game happened, where they decided to defect Aricia and side with the Durhua Empire. You know, Medeus and his posse of flapperjaw dragons. They did this because their former king Jill was a cowardly cunt, and so we're heading back there, and now it's ruled by his daughter Shima, who is admittedly far less of a cunt, but is still fighting us, which puts her at a solid 4 out of 10 on the cuntometer. So the reason why she's fighting us is because Hardin ordered her to, and she still doesn't know we're the good guys. A lot of people are depending on her to help defend her kingdom, and, you know, she wants to stand by her people. She doesn't want to abandon them, you know? And she knows that Hardin's words are bullshit. She's one of the few characters in this game who is a little less gullible than the rest. I mean, if you compare her to our blondie McFuckstick hero, you know, Astria. I forgot his name for a bit. She's considerably more intelligent, if you ask me. But yeah, here, this is actually a very touching dialogue here. Like, I kind of like it when the Fire Emblem games, near the end of the game, the enemies start to realize that they might not win against you. And so the slow depressing resignation sets in, where they're just like, oh shit, we might be fucked, but I can't leave, cause I gotta stand by my fellas. And that's what Shima's doing right here. And I like both of these characters, to be honest, cause, you know, the Samson dude, who has really fucking good stats, is just like, you know what? I'm gonna stick by you. I don't know why. It's just something I gotta do. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that line, like, there's some things men feel they need to do, just really rings true for me for some reason. It's not a logical reason, but there's just something to it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the fact that he, you know, maybe it's just I can relate to the curiosity of seeing things to their conclusion, maybe? Because, like, I deal with drama every now and then, and what happens is, you know, sometimes I don't really have a reason to give a shit or care anymore, or even be involved, but I'm just like, I gotta stand by it. I gotta make sure everything turns out okay. You know? It's just some sort of, I guess it's some kind of moral investment or something. So, I don't know, I can relate to Samson's reasons. He's a cool guy in my book. Plus, he looks fucking cool. I mean, we saw him in Book 1, but I feel that needs reiterating. Mang said that Sigurd appeared to be based off of him, and, you know, good character to pick. So anyway, before I touch on the level design shit, let's talk about how awful this chapter is. This is probably, I'd say maybe number 2 or number 3 in terms of the worst chapter in this fucking game. The idea in this chapter is that you got Gross soldiers and you got Akania soldiers. The Akania soldiers have silver weapons and they will fight you, and the Gross soldiers have broken weapons and they will not fight you. So basically, there's not a whole lot of enemies to actually fight. It's actually like maybe, I don't know, fucking 8 enemies on the fucking map that actually fight you, aside from the Wyvern Riders. And then from there, it's just kind of like, you can just walk by the other ones. So, the chapter, I honestly feel like it wasn't even a good idea on paper. Because it's very tedious to play through, and there was this one time where I ran Sirius in to the enemies, and he just got hit by a fucking random critical hit, and just died instantly. And I got fucking pissed off because I was near the end of the chapter. So that's really the only threat in this chapter, is that every now and then the enemies will get lucky, or take you off guard, and then you'll have to redo this tedious fucking slugfest, which, by the way, is reminiscent of a chapter in Book 1. I'm sure you know which one. The one where we fight King Joel. So, the chest, there's a room over there. You can't see it because it's covered by the roof, but once you open the door, there's 2 chests. Now, one of them is nabbed by that thief I just killed, and it has a Resire Tome. The other one has a dragon shield. There's not really much challenge to getting either of those chests. You just warp a fucker over and then bam, it's done. And then from there, it's just a matter of killing the wyverns, which are easy, and killing the soldiers and archers, which are the only other fucking enemies you deal with in this entire chapter. Okay. So, here comes the scary part. Now I gotta fucking talk about level design. Oh boy. So, I guess I should start with objectives. So, in Fire Emblem, there are various objectives, but in some Fire Emblem games, such as FE6, there's only one objective. I feel that people put too much weight on the concept of objectives, because one of the big criticisms about FE6 is, oh, the objectives are all the same. But here's the thing. Fire Emblem 6 actually has very varied map design. Like, yes, the goal ultimately is to seize the throne, but you play each chapter very differently. Like, for example, the one Western Isles chapter where you have to recruit Tate and Klein, I don't remember the exact chapter it is, that is a very, very involved chapter, and very interesting, and honestly, FE6 is probably one of my favorite Fire Emblem games, even despite the fact that it has something that I commonly criticize, which is big maps. But the thing with FE6 is that while the maps are big, they have a lot of content in them, and they really push you to, like, play fast and really get your mileage out of the Cavalier units, you know? They really push you to play in a way that's fast and interesting, rather than just, like, making it a fucking trudge. So, what is it about FE6 that makes it stand out in this regard? Well, I said it before. It's just, they made the map objectives vary. Now, here's the thing. How do you make an interesting map? So, firstly, the objective doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what fucking objective you have, so long as it doesn't explicitly get in the way of how the chapter works. For example, you're not going to want to put a routing mission in a chapter where, like, you can just stand at the beginning and let the enemies come after you, or just, like, you have to make the routing mission interesting in some way that pushes the player to, like, really think outside the box. Shit, where was I going with this? See, this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to talk about map design, because I'm a fucking disorganized mess in my head. But okay. So, usually what I do when I'm making an interesting map design is I'll take a concept in the game. For example, you have the Pegasus Riders. They can fly, they can ferry over stuff. And then I'll kind of base the chapter around that idea. Like, for example, in my Fire Emblem Hack Chronicles of Lusaria, I have a chapter where you are given a Pegasus Rider for the first time. And there are 2 villages on completely different sides of the map. And there's a Myrmidon that you need to recruit with the Pegasus Rider, because they're related. So the idea is to kind of, like like maximize your movement with the Pegasus Rider so that she can do all these tasks at once. And some of the tasks you can actually allocate to other units. Like, for example, the top right village of the map. You start at the bottom right, by the way. What you would preferably like to do is you ferry somebody over with the Pegasus Rider so that they can go after the village, so that the Pegasus Rider can multitask and head over to the other village, which is also where the recruitable Myrmidon is. So it's a very interesting, involved chapter. And on top of that, there are also forts that nobody can reach except for the Pegasus Rider. And out of them come enemy Pegasus Riders. So what you can do is you can block those forts, or you can place your units near them. So the whole chapter is kind of based around this whole concept of just exploiting the Pegasus Rider features to their potential. Another example is like, okay, so you don't have to just base your chapter around a single concept. You can also just have a lot of shit happen in it. You can make it a very dynamic chapter where, like, you have to, there's very specific things going on that you have to kind of plan around that happen on specific turns. So, in Chronicles of Lusaria, that's what I did for Chapter 1. You only start with 5 units, and then as the chapter goes along, the rest of your team shows up on completely different spots on the map. And the idea is to get to those spots and fend off the enemies so that those units can safely get the fuck out and help you with the rest of your team. So it's kind of like you think you've gotten past one obstacle, and then a new problem is introduced, and then you have to, like, oh shit, I have to get my shit together and hustle. You know, it's kind of a more improvisation-based way to play design a chapter. Now, both of these chapters are defeat boss missions. You can clearly see how the objective doesn't really fucking matter. Because in order to get the rewards of the Pegasus Flyer chapter, you need to exploit the Pegasus, and to reap the benefits of the holy shit improv chapter, you have to, like, really fucking hustle and, you know, really figure out how to distribute your unit's firepower to be successful in that chapter. So it's very interesting. So I feel that there are only a few situations where objective really matters. To me, an objective should be based on how you deal with the enemies. For example, you can have a defend mission where the idea is to survive the enemies. In a routing mission, the idea is to destroy all the enemies. In a defeat boss mission or a seize throne mission, you want to defeat one enemy, usually. So those objectives are all very different in different ways. Now, if you were to look at, for example, the escape objective, I don't really feel like this is an interesting objective that really innovates anything. It's basically the same as a seize throne objective or a defeat boss objective. Because usually what happens is that on the escape tile or whatever, they put a boss. Or, you know, they'll put some other kind of obstacle. But either way, it's still the same concept of it's having your characters step on a tile in order to complete the chapter. In the case of the boss thing, it just kind of takes away the step on the tile part and just keeps the boss. You know, either way, it's going from point A to point B. So it doesn't really do anything for the chapter. It's, now, what you could do is, to have an interesting objective that isn't either of those, you could also have a seize multiple points objective. Or have, like, kind of a time limit. Like, you could combine those things so that sort of, by fundamental design, encourages you to distribute your units in such a way that you're covering a lot of ground. And I kind of feel that resource management also includes your unit firepower. You know, you're managing where your firepower is sent. So having a chapter where you're trying to go to multiple points is a good way of doing that. I think that's all I gotta say on, like, map objectives. I'm trying to think of what other objectives actually exist in Fire Emblem, but for the most part, I don't really feel like there are any truly other innovative objectives. So anyway, let's talk about the chapter now. So I successfully got through all the Gross soldiers without killing any of them, and by doing so, I'm able to recruit Shima. One of the houses tells you don't fight the Gross soldiers, so if you only fight the Akaniya soldiers, she'll join your team. If you kill a Gross soldier after recruiting her, she will betray you and be like, oh, that's such a fucking shame, Marth. I didn't know you were a dick. So that's kind of interesting that they kind of planned around that, you know, saw if the player would be that kind of person. And so the moment you get Shima, you can recruit Samson. Now it's worth noting that if I didn't give Marth the boots, it would be very difficult to approach Shima because she doesn't move, but Samson moves, and Samson's already, like, really fast. And because it's an indoor map, there's really no way to, like, jump in on her before Samson gets a chance to jump in on you instead. So if you don't have a unit with good enough stats or, like, decent speed, Samson can be a huge problem. Because he'll fuck your shit up because he's got, like, 17 speed, amazing strength, and a silver sword. He's pretty much, you know, built to kill shit. So anyway, I think that's all for the chapter. I'm actually kind of surprised I managed to say everything I needed to say within the time limit. Hopefully this was informative. If you guys liked it, then, I don't know, like, comment, and subscribe, maybe, or some dumb shit like that. Anyway, I think next up we need to go to Adria Peak, which is pretty dangerous. We're gonna be meeting some well-known characters there. And by that I mean characters that I didn't even fucking use in book 1. So anyway, bye! I need someone to review my FE hack. He needs to be someone who won't cut me slack. It's Monkey Joe, he's arrived from his golden chariot, and down he walks